Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of Cookiecast. Today on Cookiecast, it's the Darkest Timeline podcast, so it's just me for the day. Games, movies, and TV's probably the name of the game here, kids, and something from the week. So, here we go. This is Cookiecast, the Darkest Timeline podcast. Right then, hello everyone, it's me. You'll be pleased to know, definitely got an energy drink on the go. It's a small one though, got some juice. I know you like these little updates that I bring you. Little inside scoop into my life and my drinking habits. I need the energy drink. That's not necessarily true. I needed to get through the evening. First day back at work today. That was interesting. Part of me was like, oh, I'll talk about going back to work. And now I'm like, I don't know if I want to. I don't know if I can bring myself to do it. It's been an interesting few days. So at this point in time, it's like December, beginning of December, right at the smack start, beginning of December. I've been umming and ahhing about some stuff recently. Christmas is the thing I've been umming and ahhing about. Not whether to actually do it this year, although that has been consideration in the past, whether to not bother. But I'll get to that in a bit. I want to tell a little story about something that happened to me the other day. And something that has really changed my perspective. So, me and the baby were out. We were mooching round Monk's Cross. For those of you who don't know, Monk's Cross is a shopping park, I guess is. It's an absolute mess at the moment. They're doing loads of work. Apparently they're improving it. I'm not sure that's true. Car park is an absolute mess. But they seem to be putting more shops in. Which for a place that seemed to struggle to keep shops open, I'm not sure that's the answer. But who knows? They have opened a Greggs. So, it's already off to a good start. I can't even remember why I was there. No, I come to Boots, gone to Asda. I don't know. And now I'm like, is it important? No. I'm at Monk's Cross. So here's the thought process that went into this, and this is how detailed things get. I wanted to treat myself to a cup of coffee. That's how sad my life has got. I wanted to treat myself to a cup of coffee. So, in the vicinity of where I was stood, my options were Costa, Starbucks, or I could have put the baby in the car, driven round to Vanguard, which is another shopping park for those of you that don't know, that's just round the corner, and got a Nero's or another Costa. Anybody that listens to the podcast, anybody that knows, will know that for me, the pecking order of coffee, of those three coffee establishments, would be Nero's first, Starbucks second, Costa dead last. So, like I said, to go to Nero's, I would have had to put the baby in the car, drive I don't know, as the crow flies, 500 yards, quarter of a mile, I don't know, an amount, not very far, to stop, to get back out, to get the baby back out, to get the sling on, to go and do all of those things. So I was a bit like, I don't think it's really fair to the baby. She's hit and miss with the car. I mean, 90% of the time she's fine, but there are times she isn't. Didn't think it was fair to put her in, to drive around the corner to get her out. Also, it's not very economical, wear and tear on the car, so on and so forth. So I was like, right, let's not do that, because there's coffee within walking distance. So obviously, I've taken a third of my options away by trying to be a little bit more conscientious. So, at this point, some of you might think, well, it's a 50-50. It definitely isn't. Because unless it's my only option, as I've previously mentioned about, drive-through coffee is a win, even if it is a Costa, it was Starbucks. So, I seem to think I'd gone to the car to drop stuff off, to walk over to Starbucks to treat myself to a coffee. So, walked over, went in. It's like 4 o'clock in the afternoon, so Starbucks wasn't super busy at that point in time. And I went to the counter, and there was no one there. I was like, okay. And then this girl, young lady, I don't know how best to say it, a female who was younger than me, popped up from behind the counter. Hello! Sorry I didn't see you there. I was doing something, apparently underneath the counter. I was like, that's fine. You've got stuff to do. What can I get you? So I was like, okay. I would like, because, it's December, I would like a large, skinny, toffee nut latte. So she was like, okay. She was like scribbling on the cup. So then she was like, can I get you? And I didn't really hear what she said. All I heard was the word roast. And I was like, no, I'm fine, thank you. Just the normal. Because I keep going in coffee shops and they keep wanting to sell me a different type of bean. But sell is the right word, because they're always more expensive. And I'm like, you do know how much it costs to produce a cup of coffee, don't you? It's like nothing. You are just trying to get more money out of me in this individual transaction. So I was like, no. So obviously, straight away, the transaction changes, because I can only presume that she would have got some kind of bonus out of selling me something that was more expensive. Oh, right, okay. I'm like, if I was a different kind of person, I'd have been like, hey, you need to watch that attitude, love. I am a customer. Crack on and make my coffee, take the payment. Let's keep this nice and whatever. So, anybody remember the order? Large, skinny, toffee nut latte. So she starts putting it into the till. And I can just see the money going up and up and up and up and up. It started at one price, then it went up. Then, I presume they must charge you for the shot. I think she asked me if I wanted cream, and I said no. So I must charge you for the shot. Then I saw that she was charging me for the cup. And now then, how much was that? Part of me wants to say it was 5p, but part of me wants to say it was 25p. Honestly, if I'd have known they were going to charge me for the cup, I'd have left there and then. So that was that. So the money just keeps going up and up and up and up and up. And then, now bearing in mind, she was not wearing a mask. She was not holding a gun. And it was broad daylight outside. She then said, the phrase, "That'll be $4.29, please." I nearly fell on the floor. So let's take it back. If I'd known she was going to give me attitude to start with, I wouldn't have even gone in. If I'd known she was going to charge me for the cup, I wouldn't have bought a coffee. And if I'd have known that cup of coffee, which costs almost nothing to produce, was going to be £4.29, I certainly wouldn't have gone in there. Let's not forget, we are currently standing in our number 2 coffee shop choice. Again, if I was a different type of person, because she hadn't started making it at that point, if I was a different type of person, I would have said, sorry, I didn't realise it was going to be that much money. I am not prepared to pay that for a cup of coffee. Tell you what, I'll leave and we'll forget this transaction ever happened. But I'm not. So, feeling like it was a situation where afterwards I was probably going to need to pull my trousers back up, I paid the lady. And she was like, "I will make your coffee now." I'm like, "For that price, you should have made it yesterday." So I waited, and the cup appeared, and I picked the cup up, and I walked out, and I chunted a bucketful, as I like to do. I call the baby my little sounding board these days, because she don't know what I'm saying, and the odd 4-letter word kind of goes over her head, for now, at least. So I was like, if I'd have known it was that much, I wouldn't have bloody bought, like I've just said to you. If I'd have known it was that much, I wouldn't have paid. Could have gone to Nero's and got a much better cup of coffee for much cheaper. All this sort of stuff. So I have this thing, I like a cup of coffee, but I can never drink a hot cup of coffee. There's like one place that I know I can go and order a coffee and it's almost drinkable immediately. I don't know what that says about the establishment itself, but most places I go and buy a cup of coffee, I can't drink it straight away. So I was like, well, I'll walk back to the car, I'll put the cup in the car, I'll drive home. By the time I get home, perfect temperature for drinking. I got back, got the child out, got the coffee, went in the house, sat down, put the cup down, sorted the baby out. So then I'm like, ooh, I've got my cup of coffee to drink. How nice. It might have cost me a small fortune, but at least I get this point in time where I can sit here and enjoy my cup of coffee. And I picked it up and I put it to my lips and I took a drink and went, you motherfucker. That's right. I'm trying to dial down the swearing, but this requires swearing. And let me say this one again. You motherfucker. Have you guessed? Yeah, you already guessed it, haven't you? Because when I put that coffee to my lips and I tasted that sweet, sweet latte. Yep, that's right. Latte. Not a toffee nut latte. No. Not a toffee nut latte. A latte. Because the lovely girl in Starbucks who had charged me the earth for a cup of coffee, presumably in some kind of I'll show you, decided you don't need toffee nut flavouring in your cup of coffee. You need to go fuck yourself, mate. I'm like, well, let's add insult to injury, shall we? Let's drink this cup of coffee that I paid a lot of money for and didn't get what I wanted. Honestly, if I'd have known, I wouldn't have bothered. And that's I've spoken before about how for a long time I wouldn't going to Starbucks. I won't drink Starbucks for a long time. Because I thought they were quite an unethical company. They had this thing where they were responsible for something like, it was some ridiculous number, like 10 or 11% of the waste in the world because of their cups, because they were such a popular company at the time. Everybody was drinking Starbucks, and you couldn't do anything with the cups. You couldn't recycle them, so they just went into waste. And they were told, you as a company are producing too much waste, and their answer was, so what? And they didn't care. And at that point I was like, screw you guys, you can't be like that, you got to be a responsible company. And they were like, screw you. Interestingly enough, it does seem like they started to drop off after that. There was jokes in films. I remember one of the Austin Powers had a joke about Starbucks in it. Things like that. They were huge, and it seems like now they're not as big as they were. And I think they've done the odd bit here and there. So every now and then, I'll have a Starbucks, but I honestly think that interaction of the poor service in more ways than one, the astronomical price, the charging you for cups, all of that sort of. I know some of you now are going, well, there's a reason they're charging you for cups. It's so that they can do something about the environment. I get that. But let's not forget, they want to charge you for a reusable cup. So, it was a terrible transaction. And one I will not be hurrying to repeat. And I work on the principle that, in situations like that, the price of that coffee is only ever going to go up. So Starbucks, I'm afraid you may have lost me forever. Shame. So, let's talk Christmas. I know. It's one of those things, I keep threatening that I'm going to bring this podcast up to date. However, if I don't, you'll be listening to this in February. Which will be weird. But I'll see what I can do. So let's talk Christmas. I spoke about this last week. But I've had this. I'm going to talk about something else about Christmas because I spoke about it last week, and people who listen on a regular basis don't need to hear me go through, me and Christmas again. Anybody that didn't listen to last week's and doesn't know what I'm talking about, well, there's an easy way to solve that problem. Go back and listen to last week's. So, I've had this thing recently that there's a part of me that I think wants to embrace Christmas in more ways than I ever have done. Christmas over the years has been different things for me at different times. There was when I was a child, when it was super exciting. When I got to sort of my late teens, it was, Christmas Eve, you go out and have a drink. We had this sort of ritual where I'd go out with some friends and we'd have drinks and it'd be a good time. Then there was the years where I'd go out drinking until like 5 a.m, come home and have to be up at like 8. Those were not as fun. But at that age, you just bounce back almost instantly. There was years through, my 20s where I enjoyed Christmas for other reasons. Then there were the years where I didn't enjoy Christmas, and then that sort of brings us up to current, in a lot of ways. But part of me, and like I say, this is coming from a man who will happily wear a Christmas jumper in December. I will even wear a Christmas t-shirt in December. I own multiple Christmas jumpers and I think Christmas t-shirts. So, look who you're listening to. But this year, I'm thinking of doing it different. This year, I'm thinking of doing like, watching the Christmas movies, having the Christmas songs on, like just going all out, and really just seeing what a difference it makes. Will I feel differently come January? Will I be like, I'll tell you something, because I leaned into it, it really did make a difference. Is that what I'm going to be saying? I've got an example, and I'll come to that in a bit. But I spend so long, at this time of year, I spend so long just being like, why do we have to do this? And, why do we have to do that? Why is this the way it is? And, why do people put their Christmas trees up on the 1st of December when there's been a Christmas tree up in my house for 2 weeks or something? It's not up. I think I've already covered this. We need the cats to get used to it. So the tree is out. And by used to it, they are literally, they just spend their time eating the Christmas. One of them, whose favourite thing in the world to do is eat plastic, it's like a dream come true. He just spends his time eating the Christmas tree. So I'm not sure how well that's working. It's got no decorations on it, or lights, or anything, and it's like I have to tell him like 10 times a day to stop eating the Christmas tree. So who knows what it's going to be like when it's actually decorated. But I'm just like, rather than watching Die Hard this year, should I be watching A Miracle on 34th Street? Rather than watching Bad Santa, should I be watching Home Alone? Rather than watching... I used to do a thing like where I used to gather up all the Christmas episodes of TV programs that I liked and watch those. But that means that I'm watching like the Invader Zim Christmas episode. I used to I had a list of TV programs that had Christmas episodes in that weren't that were out of the norm. Instead of doing the things that I normally do, should I be doing the things that other people do? People that enjoy, that really, really, really get into Christmas. The dreaded Facebook is keeping me updated with what the rest of the world's doing as far as Christmas is concerned. And I look at it and I'm like I said, I think it was last week, like I said, it just makes me feel sad. It makes me feel sorry for those people. But maybe it's time to embrace it. Maybe it's time to lean in. Who knows? I don't know. I think I'm gonna try this year. I think I'm gonna actually give it a go and try and be Mr. Christmas. I don't know how that'll go, but we'll see. So, speaking of, I'll give you my first example. Yesterday, it's Monday today, isn't it? Yeah. Yesterday, we took all the children to see Father Christmas. It was very special. Nana paid for everybody as Christmas presents early. The Christmas presents for the girls and for all the adults. Nana paid for everyone to go and see Father Christmas on a steam train. I mean, does it get much more exciting than that? I told my middle daughter about it 3 times. She was that excited that she forgot every time. Part of the reason I told her was I knew she'd forget. But it's one of those. We took my eldest. a few years back, my eldest went on the same steam train for her birthday. And she was huge into Thomas. And we were just like, oh, she's going to absolutely love going on a steam train. And she did. It was like this huge thing. I was saying yesterday that had actually been my second time, I believe, on a steam train. My first time on a steam train was a completely different experience, because I was completely miserable for the day. I'm pretty sure I slept on the return journey. It was an awful day because I was awful. But that was what it was. It was nice to go on the train. Took my eldest for her birthday one year. She went on the steam train and just mind utterly blown by the whole experience, which at this point in time she remembers nothing about. So money well spent there. It was you get on a steam train, which in itself is just awesome. You go down the tracks. Adults get a hot drink and a mince pie. Children get a carton of juice and a satsuma. Or in our case, nobody ate the satsumas, and I had to donate my mince pie to other people. Sorry, I just love a mince pie and I'm mourning the loss of it. Anyway, so you all got refreshments, and then you get your refreshments, you get on the train sets off, and it's really interactive, it's really cool, super Christmassy, even though it was like the 1st of December, not to date this podcast, but there you go. And we went on the train, and it was cold, and you needed your gloves and your hats and your scarves and all of that. And then we got on the train, and it was nice and warm because they have these little radiators under the seats and stuff, and that was that. And there was elves that came, and they handed out activity packs for the kids. And they kept talking about how Santa had landed on the train and he was going to come and see all the children. And the elves play games and all of that. So we were in a carriage that was had a bit in the middle that separated. So that's where this elf stood. And at one end was one team, and at the other end was another team. And I'm like, okay, so there's games and activities and all this, that and the other. And I was like, part of me was a big part of me wanted to be like, oh, this is stupid. But by that point, by that age and all of that, it's not about me, it's about them, and you've got to get into the spirit of it for them. So I was like, right at the start, I made a decision that I was going to get into it, and in a lot of ways, for me, be over the top. But I don't know if that's what it was like, or that's how it came across. I don't know. So there was early on there was this game where there was going to be 2 people on each team who had to run up and down the carriage doing a certain thing, high five the guy in the middle, run back, high five your teammate. It was like a relay race. Anything like that, I'm sitting there, and I'd taken my jacket off because I was like, it's warm enough, I don't need my jacket on. So I'm sitting there, and I know what's coming, because at the end of the day, there's the hair, there's the beard. I'm a big guy, especially currently, and without wearing a jacket, I'm covered in tattoos. I stand out from a mile away. So The elf turns up at the table. What about you? And there was, there's that part of me that was like, no way, man, I ain't doing this. But I'm like, right, let's do this. Let's embrace it. Let's lean in. Let's do this. So I'm like, what do you want me to do? I want you to go down there, do this race thing. I'm like, cool. So I went, I was talking to the other guy who I was on this team with, and, we had to run up. It wasn't running, it was jumping. You had to jump down the aisle of the train, high-five the guy, jump back, saying something, I don't know, something Christmassy. I can't remember what it was. I was like, right, I'm going to do it. I'm going to get into it. I'm going to do this. So we ended up doing it 3 times. There was like cheering, so I was leaning into that and like giving a bow and stuff, and really hamming it up when the guy said stuff, and I'd react to it and all this. And that was that. And then I got to go and sit down, and we carried on, and there was Father Christmas came, and I was like, oh my God, Father Christmas. I was really, again, really leaning into it, hamming it up for the girls, and oh my God, Father Christmas is here. I can see him. I've never seen him before. I was so close and all this. The baby nearly exposed Father Christmas. That was entertaining. He was really good with all the children on the train, as you'd expect in that situation. The girls, everybody got a present which they were allowed to open. My middle daughter couldn't understand why, if she asked Father Christmas for something, why when she opened the present he gave her, it wasn't what she asked for. Which was just, it's just stuff like that's funny. It's like, no, you asked for something for Christmas Day. He's just giving you something for today. Yeah, but I asked for a dinosaur. It's like, yeah, and Christmas Day, keep your eyes peeled. So there was that. There was a quiz. I love a good quiz. So again, I was like, right, I could sit here knowing the answers to these questions and just be like, oh, I knew that. Or do what I actually did, which was, when he asked a question, I was shouting the answers out. I was getting them right. I was getting them right first and all of this. And, it was one of those things. Because I kind of proved my own point. Because when we got back, when we got to the end of it, I was like, that was really good. It was nice. The girls loved the steam train and being, when you're in that scenario, when you're around all the old stuff, there was an old crane and there was different carriages and like the stations that bit older and all of those sorts of things. Stuff like that's cool, and there was like twinkling lights, and there was a river, and it was just a good time, a good experience. And then we drove out, and that was that. So that in itself might have proved part of my point, but I will only know if I keep it up. We've got the podcast Christmas party coming up. I don't think I need to be super Christmassy and over the top for that one. I think I just need to do normal stuff. But yeah, I think I'm going to miss my work's Christmas party, which is what it is, I guess. But at this point in time, I am saying that I'm going to try and do Christmas. And if in a month's time I'm like, oh, I didn't try and it wasn't, then you can call me on it. But I am going to try and do Christmas this year. And I'll let you know how I get on. So there you go. That is, if I'm honest, that is the last few days. But those were the things that I wrote down on my list, and you guys know I love a list. So let's talk about the other stuff, the stuff that you're really here for. TV wise, You guys know that I finished Ash vs. the Evil Dead, and you guys know that I started on the, I need something to watch. What am I going to watch? And then I was like, no, I know exactly what I'm going to watch. I'm going to watch Final Space. And that is what I've done. Not all of it, and certainly not a lot of it. I think I might have watched, 4 episodes maybe. I can't imagine it will have loads. I feel like it's probably like a 10 episode kind of deal. It's okay. I feel like it might have lost a step from the first series. A lot of stuff has changed. Like, quite a lot of stuff has changed between the first and the second. Not like stuff that we don't know about. It's just it's different. It's a different ship. It's a different crew in a lot of ways. There's loads of characters in this series. One of the new characters is cool. The girl in it called Ash seems to have a bit of a split personality thing going on, and seems to have superpowers as well. She's cool. It's alright. If I'm honest, I'm a bit like, I'm already in that zone or mode of, I don't know when I'm going to watch stuff now. Actually, that's a good point. I don't think I've watched a film. There is no film on my list. That's right, because I was going to watch a film. Right, anyway. Final Space. Series 1 was great. I really enjoyed Series 1. Series 2 so far feels a little lacking. And I don't know if that's because there's too many characters, like too much going on in some ways. It feels a bit like there's too many characters, whilst also making like the main characters, if that makes sense. I will persevere with it. I just, at this point in time, I'm struggling to think when. But I'll have to. You know, it's kind of that simple. So that's Final Space. I can't really tell you much more. I haven't watched it all. I haven't finished it. I can't give you a review of the series other than my initial thoughts and feelings. So, like I was saying, I haven't watched a film. So I had this big influx of film watching, which was fine. And then I haven't watched anything. So one of the things I wanted to get done before going back to work was, there was a film that I wanted to watch before I went back to work. It only came out last week. I can't, at this point in time, for podcast reasoning, I can't sit here and work it out, because it was the 27th of November, which, as you might know, if you know what the dates and stuff, that was The Irishman came out on Netflix. Now I know it's had a cinema release already. It's had amazing reviews. Interesting though, I saw, when I looked something up the other day, I saw that it hasn't had exclusively amazing reviews. There are a few reviews out there where it's like, you know, not overly positive. Anything like that, I would just, you know, I'm not taking that review to mean anything. I'm just saying that there are those reviews out there, and I will make my own mind up. However, we've got a problem. So, Saturday night. Oh, Saturday night is such a good night for a movie. If you're not out, you know, drinking and getting up to trouble, Saturday night's a great night for a movie. Or all right for fighting if you're Elton John. Saturday night, I'm like, yes, I am going to watch a movie. And that movie is The Irishman. At this point in time, just check the time. Oh, it's 10 o'clock at night. Cool. I can stick it on now. I can give it a watch. Job done. No problems. And I don't know what it was. Maybe it was because it was a little bit later in the evening than I would have liked. I was like, oh, I'll just have a look and see how long that film is. Yeah. 3 hours, 29 minutes. Which at that point in time I was like, if I put this on now, it won't finish till 1:30 in the morning. I'm probably not going to watch that film now. I was just like, wow. You think like people bitch, moaned and complained that Endgame was 3 hours and 3 minutes long, and when am I going to go to the toilet in all of this? It's like, go to the toilet before you go in, and then be a big boy about it. 3 hours 29 minutes. I was like, that's like 2 films sandwiched together. So I made the executive decision at that point in time that I probably wasn't going to watch it then. And then obviously, the thought of it is making me yawn. And then obviously, Sunday is Football Sunday. Football Sunday for me, which was falling asleep at 9 o'clock in the evening and going to bed at 10:30. Which, honestly, can't tell you what happened there. So yeah. I have not watched a film this week. And I can't sugarcoat it in any way other than I have not watched a movie. So, we're going to skip movies because there's nothing to talk about. And we're going to talk computer games. I have played some computer games. I have played Call of Duty. So, Call of Duty, Modern Warfare, it's a remake, a reboot, a re-something or other, a re-skin. Who knows? Having played the entire campaign, I feel I can review it. I will not be reviewing the multiplayer because A, I don't have the ability to play multiplayer at the moment because I don't have any PlayStation Plus, and B, I would not be playing the multiplayer anyway. So, here we go. Call of Duty Modern Warfare campaign review. Literally 50-50 on this one. So, almost exactly half of the missions in that game, I was like, man, I don't care. Man, I just don't care. I really don't care. So that was half of the missions. I think I talked about it last week, talking about the fact that like missions where it makes you use the AK-47. Can't stand that gun. Really can't stand that gun. The other half of the game, where they make you do missions where you go in like, I feel like I've already spoken about this, where you do like a house clearance. You go into a house, not like selling all the furniture. You go into the house and then you have to clear the house floor by floor. Did I already talk about this? I feel like I've already talked about this, or I might have mentioned this to someone. I honestly think those missions were really, really good. And I honestly think they could make an entire game out of those missions alone. Something that I found interesting about it was that I'm sure I heard that the main campaign was 6 hours. They were making a big deal about it being really long, and it was 6 hours. It certainly didn't feel 6 hours to me. It is absolutely 100% a 50-50 game for me. Half of the game I really didn't care about, and the other half I really enjoyed. Missions where you have to use night vision goggles to actually move around, and you actually have to use them. The stealth aspect in that regard. When you're a SWAT team and you're going in and you're clearing a building, that stuff is fantastic, and I honestly think that they should look at doing that as a full game. But the other missions, I just didn't care. There was some interesting stuff at the end, like some of the cutscenes at the end, like, oh yeah, cool. I won't spoil it. I saw recently that it was in the Amazon Black Friday thing, and it had gone down in price to, it was around £40, and I was like, oh, so it's, the price that games should be. probably worth that. If I hadn't have owned it, I'd have bought it at that price. You know, as I said before, you know, technically it didn't really cost me anything. It cost me £5 because I traded like 8 games in. So that is that. I have then obviously put more of my time, my game playing time, into Need for Speed. I know I've said this before. I have this thing about reviewing games that I'm playing, especially a game that I know could quite easily turn on me. I feel Need for Speed is very much a game that could turn on me and be too hard. The game has had a couple of times where I'm like, wow, I've struggled to do that mission, or that race, sorry. Then I've gone away and like got some more money, put that money into the car that I'm using and gone back to do it and been like, oh, it was just a level thing. But I do feel there might come a point. I've had it happen to me before with Need for Speed games where I've got so far and just not been able to progress. So I think that's maybe why I feel that way. Like I say, I would struggle to be like, oh, it's really good. Oh, yeah. So I need to find a way to partially review it at this point in time without saying too much. What I can say is it feels to me like an old Need for Speed game whilst putting in newer elements. I think I saw a review at some point that said similar. It feels like what I would call the good old days of Need for Speed. You've got your different race types, you've got your off-road, you've got your circuit race, your sprint race, your drifting. I think there's going to be drag racing, although I haven't got that far yet. So it feels like old school Need for Speed. They've put this night and day element in where during the day they're street legal races, during the night it's illegal street racing. There are different elements with each. I've been caught a cropper, you know. At night it's dangerous and you have something to lose, whereas during the day you're just trying to get some money. I've had a couple of issues at night, but that is part of the game. I know some reviews I've seen have said that they felt that though the night element was a little too oversensitive for certain things. I have also found that. But at this point in time, I am still playing it. I've just bought a new car, which I'm putting money into, which is cool. Buying and selling of the cars. I found that, like, I've played previous games where you just buy more and more cars. And you just get more and more cars, and then in the end you own all the cars, and you've got a garage full of cars, and that's that. But ultimately, you only ever drive one of them. In this, I've found that I'm like, oh man, you know, if I sell that car, that's going to get me more money and it'll free up all the parts and I get a new car and I can put those parts on that car. And there's a lot more thought that goes into the buying and selling of cars. A lot of the time, I just have one active vehicle for one specific race type. I've got one for just racing, I've got a drift car, I've got an off-road car, and you tend to tend to find that I'm just like, you know, put all the drift parts on the drift car, put all the off-road parts on the off-road car, and then the moment you can get a better one, you know, get into the position where you can buy that, do as much as you can, and then sell the old one because you won't need it again. That has been a really interesting element. Because like I say, all other racing games, like, I'll just buy more cars. So yeah, there is that. There are points in time where I'm like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to drive another race. I don't want to race this race. I don't want to do this. Or if I'm annoyed because the police have taken all of my reputation away or whatever it is, I've needed something else. The something else in this scenario is I've gone back to Star Wars Jedi Fallen, playing it again. Honestly, I super enjoy that game. It is probably going to be what I name Game of the Year. When it comes to naming Game of the Year, I think that's probably going to be it. So spoilers. But the thing that I know I've been through this before, it's just super baffling to me how people are losing their minds over, quote unquote, how hard it is. Like I say, I'm on my second playthrough, and I'm just like, don't get it. Honestly, don't understand what you people are struggling with. I really don't get it. And that just amuses me a lot. But yeah, I've got friends who are like, can't play that game, it's too hard. Like, what are you on about? But I mentioned that when I reviewed it last time, so I probably don't need to rehash that review. So those are the console games that I've been playing. Brings me on to talking about some VR. I've had a bit of a VR lull, not in the game sense, in the playing sense. I had a few days where I didn't play. I had a day where I was feeling a little bit sick, and the last thing you want is probably VR if you're feeling unwell. And then I had a couple of days where I was like, oh, I'm not going to play. I need my wits about me for various things. So I've had a few days off. Before that, I was playing Aspire 1. Really enjoyable. Another thinking man's game. You got to think how you can get through it. Something that I find that is very interesting as a game. It gives you like the first mission to do, and then this is a game that has a challenge element to it. So then it makes you do some of the challenges before you can progress in the missions, which I thought was initially I was like, oh, that's a bit annoying, and then I was like, well, actually no, it's an interesting tool. It's an interesting way of getting you to explore other elements of the game. So at this moment in time, I've got through 2 of the 3 sections of the challenges. I've got 1 section left to do, hoping to get back to that soon. This week, on Thursday, I believe it is, we finally, us Quest users, finally get Arizona Sunshine, which up until today I was super excited about. Had a conversation with Luke earlier today. He said that he's been playing it because he's been using the link so that he can play Oculus Rift, is it? Rift S games? The other Oculus games where you need a computer. He's been playing those, and obviously Arizona Sunshine is already available on that. He's got it and he's playing it, and he's saying it's super hard. And I was like, what do you mean hard? It's like, oh, you need proper aiming for it, and there's real ammo there's reduced ammo, which I knew was a thing. I wasn't going into it blind with that. I didn't know this thing about this precision aiming thing. And at any time anybody says the phrase super hard or it's hard or whatever, especially like I've spoken before about VR, in the sense that with VR, if it's hard, there isn't anything you can do about it. You can't, I don't think at this point in time, other than things like Beat Saber and Pistol Whip, where they're challenge type games where you can change the difficulty settings, actual like games don't seem to have difficulty settings. And if you're in a position where you can't do what it's asking you to do, that is the end of that game. So Arizona Sunshine is reviewed as hands down one of the best VR games, VR experiences. I'm a bit wary, excuse me, of the fact that it's zombies. Again, I've spoken about me and zombies. But I'm also prepared to overcome things for the fact that, it's a good experience. I am now more wary because somebody has told me it is hard. Comes out on Thursday. I believe believe that this is going to be not only a full whack game, it's going to be full price. It's going to be up there in the nearly £30 region. I think it'll be £28, £29. That's a lot of money. In VR, it's a lot of money. Obviously, console price and stuff, it's not. But in VR, it's a lot of money for a game. It's a lot of money for a game that I might not be able to do. So I really need to think about whether that is the right purchase. Obviously, at this time of year, you don't want to be buying stuff willy-nilly. So I will have to assess over the next few days. I might see about if I can look up some reviews and stuff. If more than a couple of people mention a difficulty, it might not be something for me. But we will see. So, I will just have a very quick check, but I believe that, ladies and gentlemen, is the last of the things on my list. According to my list, it is. So, rather than dragging this one out, I'll say bye. Thank you very much for joining me. Thank you for coming back. Thank you for listening. Yeah, let's call it a day there. Bye. So there we go. What do you think to that? Another one in the bag. Another week gone. Another podcast done. Another something. YouTube watchers, make sure YouTube subscribers, like, share, comment, all the good stuff. Share it with your friends. Everybody jump over to Cookiecast.com, check us out over there, send us some love. So that was it for this week, and until next week, I'm going to say bye, and I'll see you then. Bye.